Hey, it's the Fish Guy reporting to you from the studio at Something Fishy with the latest news from Fish Guy TV. Today I'm excited to introduce a new training segment for both our retail customers and our team as well. Both our existing team and also the new team that joined us as the company continues to grow. We've put a lot of our training and all the important things in setting up, designing, and installing an aquarium onto video in short segments so that you can get things done right and done right the first time. Hey, it's the Fish Guy with Something Fishy. Today we're going to talk a little bit about pumps for your aquarium. So we're going to start today with one of the most popular aquarium pumps, which is just a simple power head. The use of this pump is typically for inside of an aquarium. This pump's a little big for this small tank, but you'd put a pump inside the aquarium and it would work to increase the flow inside the actual fish tank. This is a very simple pump. It's fully submersible and the wire comes out to get plugged in outside of the aquarium. This power head pump, very simply for maintenance, you would just pull it off and inside it you'll see a impeller that will just spin. It's a magnetic drive. If I pull the impeller out, there's a very small magnet here, and this unit right here is actually called your impeller, and it just spins to move water throughout your system. Inside here is actually your motor, which is going to drive. It's a magnetic drive motor which will drive the impeller unit, and then the screen just goes on. So for cleaning, you may just need to occasionally take out that impeller, clean it off, clean the inside of the pump and the screen intake as well. So this is a power head, very common for water movement within the aquarium and typically used for smaller aquarium applications. The next pump that we're going to look at is called a submersible pump. This right here is typically used inside a sump that would normally be located in a filter room or underneath the aquarium. So this would actually be fully submersed with the cord coming out of a sump which would filter your fish tank. This pump is made out of plastic. It's a pretty entry-level pump, and I would only recommend using it again as a submersible. Basically the way that it works is there are going to be screws right around this unit here is called the volute. There are screws all the way around it. I have removed all of them except for one. So to take a look inside this, we'll just take out the final screw. Anytime you're dealing with small parts, a free tip for the day is always have a cup handy to put them in so that you don't lose them. Once the screws are taken off, you can then remove it. Again, this is a volute. Inside here you'll see an area that you can insert your impeller into, and when you're putting it back together you always want to make sure that that goes in there nicely. Now you have a rubber gasket which keeps the water going out of the volute instead of through the sides. And then this is your impeller unit, and this impeller can actually come right out of the pump. It's going to be a little bit tight because there's a magnet. This is driven by a magnet as well, so the magnet's holding it in place. So you're going to have to, the bigger the pump, the stronger the magnet. It's going to take a little effort to pull that out. So there's your impeller, like the power head, but just a little bit bigger. Again, fairly entry-level plastic grade, so not the most durable pump, but it will work well for small applications. And then inside here is just the well area that the impeller goes into. So your motor again is encased inside of here, and the motor has a magnetic driven wheel, and when that motor spins that magnet, this magnet's also going to spin to create flow within the aquarium. You can take the gasket out here. And if you're servicing your pump, you want to take a little bit of silicone. Anytime you service any equipment that has a gasket on it, when you pull that out, you want to put a little bit of silicone in between your finger and your thumb, and you want to put it right on the entire gasket. This will prevent it from drying out and cracking, which can cause leaks. And then just put it right back in place. Make sure it's seated in the groove that it's supposed to be in, and then your volute can go right back on it. Again, you want to make sure that the impeller tip is going to go right in that well, and then it should snap right together. Once it's together, you can then put your screws back in. I haven't lost any since I used the cup. And the screws will go all the way around it and pull tight against that gasket, preventing it from leaking. Again, I would not use this in any application other than as a submersible pump. This plastic housing is fairly entry grade, and if this ever cracks and it's used as an external pump, you will have a leak. As an internal pump, you don't have to worry about that because it'll only leak into itself in the sump. The other thing is, when you're putting any fittings on these, you do want to remember not to over tighten them and just hand tighten them only, because of the plastic, they will crack if you over tighten it. This is my favorite type of pump. This pump here is an external pump. It's used and mounted outside of the aquarium filtration system and draws water from your sump into the pump itself. It's made out of a heavy-duty PVC plastic and then also a metal housing. All of the parts of this are going to be a lot more durable, and you're going to be able to have a lot more reliability when you're working with this system. This particular pump, again, the volute is surrounded by screws. I've already removed them except for one. Pull the final one out and I can take that right off. Okay, when I pull that off, we actually have an extra part on this pump compared to the previous one. This is your volute. This is your impeller. Notice the size of it, the durability of the plastic. So if something like a small snail gets stuck in here, it's probably not going to break your impeller. And then this is the well that the impeller goes into. And you'll notice a ceramic shaft in here. With this pump, you can actually peek inside. This is actually the dry area of the pump where the motor is located. The motor actually spins this magnet. And as this magnet spins, this protective cover goes on it. And then once your impeller goes in place, when the internal magnet's spinning, it's automatically going to spin the impeller as well. And then you can put this right back together. It's very important that you know how to disassemble these pumps, because if you ever have a flow issue, you want to be able to take it apart, make sure that there's nothing gummed up in your volute or in your impeller, or that there's no broken fins to your impeller. Some pumps like this one for shipping actually have a plug in the intake and also in the discharge from the pump. Obviously you want to make sure to take those out when you're installing your system. And then this, again, the recessed area right here is going to go right inside your impeller, and then you can screw this right back into place. Hey, it's the fish guy. It's the fish guy from Something Fishy, bringing you the latest news from Fish Guy TV. Today we're so that we need to scratch that. It's not even a part of the talk about.